Hey y'all, it's Diamond here, your host of the Creative Women Wanted podcast. This podcast is a community, it is a space for creative Black women in television, in digital video, to learn, grow, and connect with other women in this industry. Here at this podcast, we talk about our stories, our journeys in this industry, and we talk about TV. Of course, we're going to get into it, okay? And so I'm so excited about this episode of the podcast because I have an interview with a great friend of mine who is also an extraordinary producer. Her name is Danehsia Ferguson, and she has worked on everything from Project Runway to Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of Potomac, and we are getting into it today. See, she also has a show coming out on Hulu that features Tracey Ellis Ross. My girl is doing her thing, and we're going to get into her story. We're going to learn more about what it takes to be a producer. We're going to learn more about what Danehsia brings of herself to the show that she works on, to the shows that she works on, right? I'm really excited. I think we get really deep into it, and I think we're having conversations that I don't really hear when it comes to Black women talking about their work on reality television. Let's get into it. Before we get into her, I want to talk about what I am watching. I am watching Legendary, okay? Legendary is like everything, and I am so obsessed with it, I'll admit. I'm late to the game though, all right? Like, I only watched one episode last year, and while I loved it, I didn't finish it. But after meeting the creative production team at the conference I went to a few weeks ago, I decided to binge it, and baby, it is worth my time. It is worth all of our time. And like, I'll be duck walking in the kitchen. I'll be duck walking, playing with my dogs, randomly voguing. I definitely be voguing to Beyonce's music. Like, it's so great. My introduction into the ballroom culture was in 2019 when Vice released My House on YouTube. And it was a documentary series following queer Black people in the ballroom community, including Deshaun Wesley, who is the host of Legendary, and Tatiana Mugler, period. And at the time, she was a 007, which is a free agent. It was entertaining, and it was educational. And it's still on Vice if you search it on YouTube. We got to see Tatiana Mugler trying to find a house while participating in ballroom. We also got to see one guy's journey to creating more money in the ballroom community. He's a host, and he wanted to host more balls. And then we get to see their family's perspective. What do they think about, transitioning, ballroom, all of that. And it's just a really intimate, and it's just a well-done documentary series. But back to Legendary. It's the performances for me, okay? These folks are literally performing. Like, I would pay tons of money to see them perform like this. Like, they have their stage designs, their fashions, the dances. I mean, baby, I'm on season 3, but season 2 was superb. So I really feel like season 2 is going to be hard to beat. But I'm starting season 3, and so far so good. And like Law says, they did what needed to be done. But now we're about to get into the conversation. So Danehsia Ferguson is a very experienced and talented producer. She's worked on a lot of shows that have influenced Black culture today and really pop culture, including Ready to Love on OWN. Why would I say OWN? Ready to Love on OWN, Relatively Famous on E. And are y'all ready for this? Real Housewives of Atlanta, the current season, and season 10, Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Porsha's Family Matters, and Kandi and The Gang. The girl got credits, okay? And she also has a new show coming to Hulu called The Hair Tales. And there's some special people in there, okay? And so I hope she comes back so we can talk about that. But she knows how to produce a moment, and she knows how to produce a show. And I'm excited to share Danehsia's story today. And I'm really excited for you all to experience her and her personality. I mean, it's everything. So let's go. Danehsia, hello. Hey, girl.
Because you were talking about Legendary. So I was like, in the background, like, yes, give me tens.
Legendary. Yes, tens across the board. Face. Give me face.
God.
Give me face.
because I will try. Okay, it
And you are
might be
busy.
a rush card. Some days it might be a rush card. Some days it might be an Amex. Okay, but we're gonna try to give you a face card. Okay, hopefully it
Oh,
goes through.
oh, period. No, no, sis, you are all yours is always gonna go through. Look at them cheekbones, baby. It's tens across the board.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to just be honest. I have been following Legendary for a very, well, season one. Okay. I love Legendary. I am a child. I wouldn't even say I was a part of the ballroom. I would just say I was a person
Mm,
that I liked watching it because I went to performing arts school. So a lot of my classmates would be a part of houses and
I
compete.
love
Like,
it.
yeah, they were part of the Kiki scene. So that's why I was happy about the whole seeing Juicy Couture because I was like, I remember my classmates in high school doing this. And
Mm.
like, it's a really great outlet for a lot of young people to find their focus and their passion and find community. So that's the reason why I love the ballroom scene because I saw it firsthand outside looking in from my friends who competed. And yeah, I can relate to the show. I'm a big fan. I'm yelling
Yeah.
and screaming like Taraji P. Henson on the first season. Or was it the
Yo,
second season? Her episode to
Taraji
me is her episode to me is why you take the audio off during a performance because I'm screaming the same way. I'm like, turn the audio off.
I love
It's
her. She gave so much energy. I mean, it just show is just so good from the
so
host to the guests to the
visual
judges,
storytelling.
storytelling. I mean, it's just so inspiring. I mean, to know that they can come up with these things, I'm just like, what? Hello?
Girl. And then the execution is amazing.
I want to just say that I'm very excited that you said yes to being a guest on
Girl,
the show.
please. Girl, stop. We have been going back. Let me tell you, David, we have been finding each other in and out, in and out, in and out of time
We
for
always
so
find
many years. So I don't, if you would have been like, girl, I'm making a t-shirt press stand, I would have been like, what time do you need me there? I'll be over there. You know that. So don't even
Oh, I love
question.
it.
I'm just
Well,
glad that we always are able to meet each other where we're at.
me too. I mean, I think we're like yin and yang. Like you my like
Yes.
Libra sister, and you just I mean you're just everything. But I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it. So have you always been into television? Like I feel like you've told me that you have, but like even as a child, were you into
I
television?
had to, I had to think about that and I was like, girl, you are a whole lie. Yes. So like we're talking about I would go to Columbus, Georgia from New York, and my aunt would have us at Sears like local catalog photo shoots. Like subconsciously, yes, because I think it was always about representation more than anything else. Which I thought was TV has always been like to me a privilege. Not
Mhm.
everybody has access to television. I mean, if you're a kid who gets the TV taken away from you as a kid, you know that it is a privilege. I was on a strict morning news Law and Order schedule. That's all I could watch on TV. Growing up was Mike Woods on Fox News and Ben Stabler. That was it. That's all I had. So for me, I had to think about like what was in between and what I wanted to see. But yeah, long story short, yes, girl, auditions, acting, anything that could keep me busy as a kid. I was always in art, so TV was always not that far off for me.
What did you love about it so much? Like, so, because did you decide, like, when did you make the decision, you know what, this is something that I want to fully pursue, like television as part of the art form?
College, college was definitely it. I had a scholarship. Uh, well, I joined the choir at my school because I went
Oh,
to
that's
performing arts.
interesting.
Girl, I went to performing arts high school. I sang classical music. I was like classically trained opera singer. Yes,
Period.
girl,
Period.
what? Uh, Can't sing no anymore. I'm being serious. I feel like it's a muscle, and I choose to use it when I want to. But yeah, I went to Savannah State. I was gun ho about continuing my career in music, classically trained. I went to the choir, and then right down the hallway was the TV studio. And I'm dead serious. It literally was a split in the hallway, and it was the choir room, and then there was the TV studio. Like literally dipped over to the TV studio one day, and I literally never turned back. I quit choir literally immediately. I couldn't even be there anymore. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you love about it so much? Like what made you quit? Like what did you love about television so much that you was like, I'm gonna quit choir, something that I've been doing for a very long time?
Um, I was always told that I had to choose what I was gonna be when I grew up. Like I'm grown now, but I'm just saying, like I always had to choose. Like with auditioning, they were like, can you sing or can you act or can you dance? And I never saw that in television. Like I always saw people able to express themselves freely in different mediums and be unapologetic about it. And for me, I felt like I'm watching these multifaceted women produce, star, and be able to like own their voice. And I felt like a lot of times when I was looking into the music industry, it was like good for you that you're using your voice. And whereas like in television, for me, if like it was the standard, we're a part of the Khadijah era, honey. Okay, Khadijah.
Ooh, yes, yes.
Yes,
I love her storyline so much.
I'm a part of the Khadijah era. So I couldn't, for me, I hope this makes sense to people that are listening, but for me, I just didn't see myself in that box. And I had a lot of dreams. I still have a lot of dreams about doing other things that have nothing to do with TV. But at that moment in time, I chose to go that route. It was literally a split in the hallway in the building at Savannah State. There is the TV side on the left, and there is a choir side, music side. And I literally one day just went over to the other side and never came back. It was
Literally
crazy.
a fork in the road. I mean, and look, and I'm excited to like get into how far it's taken you. So I know that there's a lot in between college and your first, experience on Housewives, but I want to jump to that and really like dig into your career in the past few years. So tell me about your first season of Housewives, like, and it was Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? Season 10.
So actually, people don't know this. My first Housewives season was Housewives in New York City.
Ooh,
And
okay.
but it was like a quick stunt. I really was in there just trying to get my feet wet. I did like a solid 2 weeks. Like, I'm gonna just try to get on Housewives. I'm gonna just try to see what's up. I'm trying to get on Housewives. And I was working a show for Fire Island. That's pretty much what happened. Fire Island led to Housewives for the 2 weeks that I was working, but the world was so fast paced. And honestly, I'm Trinidadian, I'm West Indian, and it reminded me of soap operas that, I feel like a lot of West Indian women growing up were very interested in. And that's what really caught my eye. So I loved doing New York for those 2 weeks of the fast pace, the luxury. I was able to tell a story about these women who were super empowered, but outside looking in that they had other things going on. And of course, you see these Louis Vuitton shoes. You see the Chanel, Louis Prada, Gucci, pop them tags, but you're not really thinking about the struggles that they actually go through from day to day. So just fast forward, it's so funny. I worked on Housewives in New York City, and I want to say within that year, I did Atlanta. So, and Atlanta came out of nowhere. It was literally me ending a show. I was doing a weight loss show. They told us that we were all going to pack up our stuff and go that Wednesday. The guy said, "You have any friends that live in Atlanta?" I said, "My mom lives in Atlanta. She does not." Okay. Don't even know why I did that because my mom lives far out from Atlanta. But I was like, "Yeah, she lives in Atlanta." And he was like, "Well, I'm going to give you somebody's number." I took the number. I did the interview on Thursday, so the next day. And they called me up Friday and said, "Are you ready to start work on Monday in Atlanta?" And I packed my bags on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, drove down to Atlanta with $200 on my credit card.
Let's go, Risk.
I'm really gonna I'm telling all my tea. That's all the business. So sorry. $20 on the credit card, and I was hoping to God this would make it for the first 2 weeks. So I could, if I got fired, I could just drive back up to New York and just be like, "Girl, I worked on Housewives of Atlanta." My best friend was on Housewives of Atlanta as a background extra, and so I was like, if I make it at least 2 weeks, I can at least be like, I was a producer, and just be like, YOLO, check it off the list. But yeah, this is random. I don't think I'm properly answering the questions, but yes, that was my start on Housewives of Atlanta. I got a random.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I say it was random, but I think that the places I needed to be, I was in the places I needed to be at the right time. It felt random to me. I didn't know why I was working on a weight loss show only in Staten Island for WE TV at the time. But obviously, higher powers definitely knew the reasons why I needed to be there was to get the job for Housewives of Atlanta. I didn't need to be stealing crafty at that moment in time when he caught me. I'm being very serious. I was stealing. I definitely remember the snack. I was eating pirate's booty in the corner, and I was stealing the crafty as I was packing in my bag. And the guy was like, "You don't have work lined up?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I don't know what I'm going to do." And he was like, "I think you would be really good for this show." Did not explain the show. And then I heard it was Housewives of Atlanta. And that's when the shock came. And I was like, I'm in the right place at the right time.
That's how it happens. I really think that it's not going to make sense to us. Like,
It
it makes sense to him, and then it makes sense to us when we look back at it. And I really feel like that's a season I'm in of more flow and like letting things come to me, because it might not make sense to me. But I want to talk about Housewives, that first experience, a little bit. Like, what was your role, and
Yes.
what part of yourself did you bring to that? And were you nervous at all? I mean, this is an established franchise, a number one franchise at the time.
You're absolutely right. And I came off of the season that had the most, I felt like, pressure.
Season 9, right?
Season 10. I came in on season 10 as an associate
Right.
producer. The season after Phaedra and Kandi and
Right.
everybody,
Season
the
9
most
was
iconic reunion ever. Okay,
yeah.
hands down. Scandal, no scandal. It was everything. It was beautiful. The ladies looked gorgeous. It was peak soap opera. Let's be honest. Like, it was giving Dynasty. You couldn't touch what season 9 did. Carlos
Absolutely.
literally put a crater in if we talking about
In the
10
universe,
across
yes.
the board, and then the house father left, right? So we I came in as an associate producer for season 10. Did we have any new girls? We had Eva our season, if I'm correct. But so job as associate producer. So our job is to get in contact with the girls, figure out what's going on with the girls. They obviously come with a story because these ladies are busy women, right? So they already just let us know what's happening. So award seasons, charities, events, personal life. We find out all these things, and my job as an associate producer is to make sure that they get properly communicated. Excuse me, that they get properly communicated over to the network. So I'm just giving just an example. Cynthia Bailey has something going on, let's say with the Bailey agency, and I remember we did a summer camp together. I'm the one that needs to keep track of, like, okay, she's taking girls this week. I need to let the network know that she's going to be doing runway camps, just so things that we can follow that obviously are tools for us to be able to tell her story properly throughout the season. And as obviously we do more scenes, more things unfold, we find out like, oh, she didn't want to do the runway boot camp with you. Oh, that's interesting. We should talk about that. How are you feeling about that? And that's really where my job started off at Housewives, excuse me. And it was really to be a people person. And I think that gets a lot of people pretty far. So really and truly, it's to get to know them and build a story. That was my job as an AP.
I love that. And I know that it's not easy. And I know you have to be a people person, one, to make these ladies, feel comfortable, like enough to like share these things with you.
It's a formula to get like a person like Cynthia Bailey and all these important ladies to be able to tell their tea to you.
Right.
Because remember, you're 1 out of 10 now, if you're lucky, because they've had 10 seasons. For the girls that's been there for like 10 years, which is only 1. But you're 1 out of 8 or 9 or 7. And so you have to figure out your own spin on how you can be able to translate their story to what makes sense to you, if that makes any, if you know.
That's good. No, that's good. So it's not like what people.
I was competing against people who I didn't even know. If you think about it, I'm competing against somebody that's probably an EP, and I'm 25 years old, just over here looking like a little, like, hey, tell me about your problems. You have to figure out your way around it. That's just the best thing.
What people don't know is that, like, this is not just happening. This story is not just happening. Like, you all are really like using your talent, your storytelling skills, your people skills to like help make a story happen. Like these really dope episodes happen. So I want to move to Potomac, right? Because you moved from there to Potomac. Did you have to prepare yourself for Potomac? Because now you're going to a fairly new show, right? With like new talent, and it's not as established. Like, tell me about that preparation.
Thank you for asking about the preparation, because I think a lot of people think because you do one franchise that you're going to do all of them. And not every franchise is every single producer. I know people who love going to do, like, they love Beverly Hills. They don't want to necessarily do New York because it's different environments, and that's understandable. These are different ladies, and you're responsible to tell different stories, right? So for me, preparing for Potomac, I know that the girls I had the advantage of actually doing some shows with, I would say, greener talent. So like Ready to Love, right? It's a dating show. People are not that prepared when they come on camera. So you have to just think to yourself, one thing I love to ask all my talent, and I hate to give this away because I might be giving away my own sauce, but God gonna bless me in the back end.
Ooh, ooh.
No, I'm joking. Is I always ask them, what do you want the viewers to know this season? If there's nothing else, what do you want the viewers to know? And people say the most random things that you don't think about. It's not in the story Bible. These networks do not know what they're about to say. And it'll be something completely left field sometimes. It's like, I really want the network to know I love my daughter. I really want the network to know I really want to be taken seriously as a businesswoman. And my job, I find the responsibility in that season, no matter what is in that story Bible that the network is telling me that they told them, because I also know that you're there for cash. We are all here for a job. So you're going to tell them the most interesting story. I also want to make sure that in my job, I'm fulfilling the responsibility of amplifying the voices of women of color. So seriously, I think a good producer comes in with a motto automatically. What is your mission statement? How can you, and honestly, it takes time. I don't expect for you to work for Family Feud for one season and be like, I know what I'm going to do. Because I think that's what I was expecting from a lot of my peers looking around, like, oh my God, I don't know what it is. But I think with the shows that you take the good and the bad, because I've worked bad shows, you end up curating what you want to do. And I think it will forever keep changing. But as long as you keep trying and keep exploring, you'll be able to understand. And so with that being said, Potomac, right? I thought Potomac was going to be a hard show because one, I'm used to dealing with green talent, that's fine. But this is green hot talent. And when I say that, it's like a show that if you know, it's hot. If you know, it's a good show. You know what I mean? Yeah. To me, I felt like everybody knew Atlanta, but for the girls who knew Potomac, it was like the storylines are tight. The looks are tight. The girls actually, and I'm not trying to say the girls don't care, but what I'm saying is that the girls are watching you because they care about the way how this is all cleaned up and looking slim and I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like the adaptability. You have to realize that every city is different. What might go on in Atlanta might not be okay for Potomac, and whatever's okay for Potomac might not be okay for Atlanta. So it's really just getting to know people. Diamond, I don't treat you the same way I treat my other friends. You know what I mean? So it's just being able to be flexible and also knowing your limits and also having that goal in mind of what you like to do. You know, I think the most disappointing thing is when I see people produce and I'm guilty of it too. We produce for the money and not really the goal or the mission or statement of where what are we trying to convey? What is the intention? And does this line up with what we're trying to do?
Well, can I say, having watched both shows, and your season of Potomac is the first season that I watched, and it was so good. I mean, it was just really good. And I mean, obviously the talent is different. The stories are different. Yes, we have different scenes. And I think that you all did such a great job of making them different. Because yes, you have like all Black women on both shows, right? But they feel distinctly different. And I feel like you just do such a great job with your talent in Potomac, but also in Atlanta.
Girl, they have different needs and wants. Like, I think those are the people who, like, honestly, for me, I'm like, what are you producing? That's a whole different person sitting right there. That the story, the feel, the look, the environment, Atlanta's environment alone, the city is also, for me, the city is a cast member.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so you have to think about the tone that it's a lot more of the gala scene. It's a little bit more prim and posh in Potomac, where it's like, because it's we have suburbs in Atlanta, but Atlanta is more of a heartbeat and it's more fast paced. And compared to Potomac, it's more of the suburbs. And also, I should also mention this: they give you a look and a vibe. When you get there, you know that you are not in the same place at all. It's crazy. The dressing, the Lululemon is heavy in Potomac. Okay, just put it like that. Like the vibe is different.
Can I say this? I feel like when I watch Dubai, I feel like the model is like really trying to give me Nene, right? Like trying to give me a moment. But in Potomac, like I don't feel like anybody's trying to be anything, right? Like Karen to me is Queen Bee, and she doesn't give me Nene. Like Nene's Queen Bee, but Karen is also Queen Bee, and like they have different Queen Bee energies. And I really love that about Potomac because it's really not trying to be anything else than what it is.
Girl, it's the cast dynamic as well. I think another thing that Nene was by herself for a minute. I think people forget that after a while. I think more of And also Potomac, they're not going to allow a Nene to happen. I don't know how to explain it, but when they feel like a Nene arising, they all check each other, where it's like they understand that it is a circle of sisters, you know, and they're all there to help each other convey or just express their own stories, get their own stories out through each other. You know, let's say Robin is doing her hat line, right? And Wendy's been a part of a board for entrepreneurs. How can Wendy or, you know, even Karen being at QVC help out Robin? That's the whole thing. There's no Nene involved in it because there's no like one power player. I think on Potomac, they do a great job leaning on each other. Whereas I feel like after a while in Atlanta, because so much happened as in like cast dynamics, you were just watching individuals tell their own story.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Actually, that's pretty much it, right? Because you think about it.
I mean, that's on a lot of shows. I talk about that with Selling Sunset.
Right?
Like, you know, it's like this idea of like cast members, I mean, like individuals doing a show together versus like people who know each other, you know, creating or telling their stories together, right? How they intertwine. So I want to jump to this motto, right? The motto that you created for yourself as a producer. Did you take that motto to Porsha's show and then to Kandi's show? Like, how was that?
The only reason why I would like that is because you try. You always try, okay? I would say yes. I mean, the intention is always there. Always understand that Danehsia is going to fight. I'm going to fight as hard as I can, right, for what I want. But it's also what is reality, right? I can plan for the most beautiful wedding, and it might rain that day. It might not be what I have planned for, but I have to also accept that I work in unscripted television. And so that means I can give you a script and you could do whatever you like. Right. That's just the best way of putting that. But I feel like I kept that motto, at least to be able to tell what I thought was important. I think that's another thing a lot of producers, and you can attest to this as well. Like when we get into the room and we're collaborating with other people, we have in mind what we think might be important. But you might compromise a bit, but you might have that one thing that you want to hold on to. It might be that Hosea feeds the hungry storyline. It might be the OLGs going out and getting their groove on. You might hold on to that one because you want to be able to be like, okay, I was at least able to tell a little bit of my story, my message, because honestly, I hate saying this, other people have their own mottos and mine as well.
And that's what it is.
Yeah. And you got to find a way to be able to appease a lot of people.
That's good. I mean, how do you because here's my thing. I know that sometimes like working on set, I would get nervous. I would just feel nervous to sometimes share my opinion. Right. Did you how do you, what does working on your confidence look like? Or would you just say you're a confident person?
It's a constant battle. I think I realized even with talking in this podcast, talking to friends, that I've always been in a state of auditions since growing up. I didn't even realize this until oh wow, you've been auditioning since you were 8, girl. This has just been something, time and place, because to get what you want, that time and place is also a part of the factor, the formula. Yeah, how you present things to make people feel a certain type of way. I think that's a key thing for producers, right? I mean, we can go off on a tangent, girl, because that's something I'm always preaching to my team. It's you said that, but how do we say to make them feel some type of way? Let's get an emotion or action. What is your goal, your intention? Like you said,
it's so thoughtful. You have to be thoughtful to be a great producer, thoughtful and considerate, really.
It's the craziest thing, because I'm like, how do you even develop a relationship with these people? My worst shows, I feel like I still have a relationship with these people, because at the end of the day, they're the ones bearing their souls on camera. They're the ones telling their business, exposing themselves on camera. And that's not an easy thing. I don't know why people think that that's nothing. I read these tweets and you guys say the worst things about people, and not you, of course. You are.
But people, I get it.
It's hard. It's hard. And I think a lot of times they're building themselves up to expose themselves just for people to rip them apart. I think that's very hard to deal with. And for you to have a producer that isn't kind enough to guide you through that experience is sad. And I think for me, I always think to myself, if I was in their shoes, what kind of producer would I want? How would I want somebody to talk to me? How would I want somebody to deliver news? How would I want somebody to walk me in on the street? And I'm being serious, the smallest things. Okay, this is a A-list talent and they're doing something for me for unscripted content, right? Like, do they want somebody in their face or do they need somebody just to stand outside the door and whenever we're ready? You know what I mean? I just grab them. I have a PA just grab them, right? But I have to think about those things before interacting with them. It's so funny you really asked me that because I think that's the fine line. It's like, are you thinking in their mindset? Because you have to be able to tell their story.
Right. See, these are the things that people don't necessarily know about, like, our job. Like, it's not just like creating a moment, right? It's how do we get to that moment? Because I know that when I was on Iyanla, it's the same thing, right? Like, people are coming on Iyanla to share their experiences. And I was their first I was their first interaction with the team, right? So they probably have all of these stereotypes or these expectations of who I'm going to be or who the team is going to be. And we were cool. Like, I was so cool. Like, I knew that they were about to go be vulnerable and they just needed a human to show up for them and to then do my job as well, right? Which is to get them to the seat, but also in between the seat and when they walk in that door, like, how is their experience or what is their experience like?
Yeah, and people don't understand that will, if you don't have somebody who's like and we're in the unscripted, so they don't have to be professionals on camera. They don't have to sit up, look at the camera properly. They are literally coming to you raw, which is absolutely fine. Sometimes those subjects are the best subjects, but you have to be able to guide them through that experience. That's your job. You have to guide them through that experience. So if you want them to have a great interview, I hate saying this, but they need to have a great day.
Yeah, that's what it is.
If you want this interview to be raw and untouched and you want them to be like, I cannot stand life right now, then you need to let them just be. And so, like, you have to know that, I mean, you and I both know this. We know that it's everything up to that chair as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I love about my job though. Like, when I was working on it, I loved like being with my talent because it's like they're just humans and I'm a people person. You are a people person. And it's like I feel like we're extroverts. And I'm a social person. So it's like, I love this. Yes, give me all the talent. Like, I love it so much. So
that was my favorite thing. No, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying that was my favorite thing on Ready to Love was feeling that vibe. Yeah.
So I want to I feel like what I wanted to make sure that we did here today was like also talk a little bit about like like the Danehsia that shows up in the producer, right? Like outside of your job. And I feel like we've done that. But I wanted to ask you, are you allowed to say your favorite housewife? Like their favorite actual individual housewife?
The sad part is I feel like at this point I don't have one.
Oh,
I know. It changes.
Okay.
It changes. I would be so fake because I have a short list, of course. Okay. I think Carlos was right for giving a list because I think it's literally like having your best friend group, right? I can't have one solid best friend. It's like, I know that this girl is for this. I know this is my trip girl. I could tell you right now that my favorite housewife that is at home is not my favorite housewife on a trip. My favorite housewife in the beginning of the season is not my favorite housewife at the end of the season. So those girls change. I can tell you right now. It might be a couple that might stay consistent, but some of those girls change, and it's absolutely change. And I'm absolutely fine with that. Some of my housewives for one season is not my favorite housewife for the second season. Like season 1 to season 2 housewife might not be my favorite girl. So it always changes. I have to be honest. Like no, my favorite actually, can I just say this? Actually, my favorite housewives always are first season.
Okay, so you liked Wendy.
Not only Wendy, but I'm just saying because guess what? Here's the thing. I love Wendy. I think first season housewives are always the best because they always come in ready to be like, you get I know this, or you get, I have no idea, and I know I'm about to get drunk.
I like the second one because the first one, like, I feel like they come in with the expectation of like these are how housewives act, so I am going to perform versus
Those
like
girls, those girls. And the crazy part is the audience reads exactly what we read. Like in those moments, we're all like, we're in video village showing what the hell is going on. And then the viewers, like 5 months later, are like, what the hell is going on? And we're like, great, we're on the same page. Okay. We weren't going crazy that day.
Y'all did your thing on this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm really excited to see very specific storylines unfold. I know we have a first season housewife here, Sonia. But you guys are doing your thing. Are you proud of yourself? Like, because I'm so proud of you, and I'm just so like you've evolved so much. Because I remember when you were working on Project One Way, because I visited you. Like I was in New York, and you at the time were working on that, and we met up. But like you've come so far. Like, are you proud of yourself? Are you excited? Like,
I'm proud of us. We really did that shit. Excuse my language. We did it, girl. We really did that, girl. Use that cut. I love the producer is me like, use that cut. That cut will work. We did that. No, we did that. Like honestly, now with you saying that Project Runway, my EP, the one I was like, hey, calling me, oh my God. Yeah. She won an Emmy last night and she was my segment producer on Project Runway and I was her PA.
And now
this
look
year,
at y'all.
Huh?
I said, and now look at y'all.
I know. I'm so proud of her. I'm going to connect with her later. But I'm very proud of us. I think the biggest thing that I've done and I've made very clear is that I needed a community in order to move forward. And I'm very appreciative and proud of the community that we've created. I love the fact that we allow ourselves to go on this adventure and openly ask for support as we do it. Oh, don't get me choked up. Let me tell you, girl, I watched the J-Lo halftime movie and I was sobbing in tears right before this. I had to get myself together.
She deserved every single like iconic moment and platform that she got. Like, okay, but we don't have to get into it because
the tear, I'm telling you right now, I'm trying my hardest not to cry. It was so hard because Diamond, you think oh, girl, don't. This is not alcohol. I just want to throw this out there. This is a La Croix. It's some strawberries, girl. Okay? We were trying to do it. Oh, girl, I'm really trying to hold myself together. Oh, you know when I watch Housewives cry?
Yeah.
If it is a cry that I connect with, I promise you I'm trying my hardest not to cry behind camera. But if it's a cry that I cannot connect with, it is the hardest thing to do. Like...
No, but take your time. Like, this is a journey. Like this
is a it's a journey. Sorry, I really I caught myself, looked into the camera, and was like, "You're not crying today." Okay. What I was gonna say is that when I think about like the things that really weighed me down when I first met you, are not even thoughts at this moment in time, because one thing that our friendship has always been is to look forward into the future and like. Also, that we were always able to adapt. I've been through so many different phases with you, Diamond. We have been through so many different phases with each other. Okay, I've seen eras.
Oh my gosh, girl! Like
you got titles to yours.
The struggle area, the like living check to check, like that. Man, that was the real grind. Like, oh my God. But we were still going to get our food. Like, we were still going to our restaurant. Like, we was still.
It's not even to get the check. To me, it was more like I really watch you develop ideas and say things that I think if I didn't hear you say like, it's like you would say stuff like, I'm transforming, I'm blossoming into this person. And I'll be like, okay, work. Oh, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to grow. I think for me, I'm being so serious. I would literally watch you guys do it. And I would literally be like silently on the side saying that it was okay for myself as well. I'm being so serious. You guys taking up space. And when I say you guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the group.
Nakia Stevens.
Yes. I got a thick list in my mind, in my head, who these girls are. But watching you guys work always inspires me. So yes, I'm proud of us. I can't even say I'm proud of me because I can't even take the credit, because every time I look around at my accomplishments, they're always attached to my community. So I'm proud of us.
Well, I would love to talk a little bit about like what you have coming up, because I think that what you have coming up was a very intentional decision that you made for yourself. Like you decided you wanted to tell different stories, right? Like, and to expand the type of stories that you could tell, and look at what we get to watch coming up on, the hair tales. Like I'm very excited. Like, how are you feeling about that, and the work that you've done? I know we haven't seen it yet, and nobody will have seen it by the time this comes out, but
It probably will look different by the time it comes out. Like what I'm eating right now look different, but that power of post. We talk about that all the time.
right.
So we're talking about my decision. Well, let's just get into this part, right? Look at that. Get to this part. I've always, like I said, as long as it had the motto, I wanted to produce it. So if that's Super Bowl commercials that have a family of color eating some nachos around the table, I just want to be able to tell that story that this is the, like, I want my nieces to watch these shows, and that's always been my intention, is to watch these shows and see themselves in it. And I had to start
Mhm,
thinking about the shows that I was producing and how I didn't want to get pigeonholed into one type of show to produce. I want to show
mhm,
that I know that I'm doing ensemble shows, but I also feel like they still hit a certain demographic, if that makes any sense. Where I felt
mhm.
like, and I mean, as in class, money, access, right? I'm not going to Dubai. Neither. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm not going to Dubai tomorrow.
Right,
Just
right.
straight up.
Period.
So
Mhm,
I wanted to diversify the stories that I was telling and how I was telling it. So you're absolutely right. I made a very intentional decision, because I had other shows on the table that would be the usual formula that I usually make, which is ensemble cast, a little funny tidbit, a little shade, a little laugh, and did you get a little lesson, something out of it? And I wanted it to be a little bit different. I wanted to be able to tell the stories of really, really everyday people, not people who didn't know fame, but also I wanted to show that even people with fame have these um, humanizing stories,
mhm.
right? I think we think they're so out of touch that we don't think about the fact that they felt embarrassed in third grade.
Mhm.
Child, J Lo.
Right,
Listen, J Lo formula, okay, halftime formula. Long story short, we
right.
assume so much about these women, and we don't think about the one thing that might connect us, which is our hair. You know, and we have to think about the fact that their image is amplified in such a big way that we don't think about the person, the human that they are. They have to comb their hair every single morning, like you do, girl. They actually
Mhm.
have to rely on other people to do their hair, people to talk about their hair on such a bigger platform than us,
Right.
And so um, it was, I wanted to take that route. I wanted to be able to tell the stories of these two contrasting groups and find a middle ground. And I'm happy with it. I'm very, very happy with the project that we created.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. Like, I'm really excited to see it, and eventually I want you to come back and talk about it. So, what
Absolutely.
what is so I want to do I have one more question, and then I want to get into like the sound bite round, which is like, the rapid fire, so it'll be super quick. But what's
Okay.
your hope for yourself and our industry?
Hmm. That's a really good question, Diamond. I hope that we create TV, or I would say our industry. Yeah, television. My hope is that we create TV that continues to inspire. And I think that that hasn't been said in a minute. I
Mhm.
don't know how to explain it. And I'm glad that we have shows that are doing it, but I want it to continue to happen. I want us to create television that continues to spark a conversation instead of making moments.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's the future of our producing. And that's our job, honestly, next is to tell. And honest, now I'm going back on it. The biggest stories that I think have stuck in our industry has been a call to action. And I want us to start producing more content like that. I think that's one thing that I found the most enjoyable about doing Hair Tales is that it is a show that sparks a conversation than just a moment,
Mm.
for you to laugh at, for you to feel good at, for you to connect to, but also to get up and want to move and do something. And I think that's where I want our industries to head towards. And it could be big or small.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that I had chills because I think a lot about like I was just telling Nakia, sometimes I feel like people are just making things to fill a void or to like fill up the streaming service or to encourage people to subscribe. But like Netflix, I would rather have Orange is the New Black, more of those type of things that were actually making an impact than all of these different series, right? And I think like I love what you said, you know, like things that are inspiring and shows that are creating a call to action. And I think our duty is to, no matter what, like you said, do our job, which is to make those things, whether we're doing it independently or like with a network as a producer, that type of thing. So, ooh, girl, I got chills. That was so good.
Like, because there's nothing worse than being on a show that you feel like is just for the moment. Oh my God. Have you been on a show like that? I really have to break. I just want to tell everybody just straight up at home that my mama raised me right. I just choose to do bird things, right? And out of fun, right? So to me, it's like I've worked on bird shows. I feel like everybody else has. You have to work on a bird show. You have to date that guy. You have to date that girl to figure out what you like or what you do not like. So I've worked on shows that I would consider in my category bird shows. Yeah. Like I've done some bird activities. I've done things that I will never do again. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. But they got us here. Like they got us to this point here. We know what's important. Like we know the things we want to make.
Yes. For me, I want intention. I want to feel like, oh, that's another thing. Can we just talk to just really quick and I just give a tip to the young creatives out there? Mm-hmm. Find out what your boss's intention is for a show before you say yes. Before you ask for the dollar amount, ask what the intention is. Because there's nothing worse than getting your rate or more. Because I think a lot of producers think about that in my industry. Now I'm able to say this. But they don't think about the intentions that their supervisor might have with the show. They don't think about like, what's the feeling? What's the walk away? And you should have the responsibility if you're working with a production company to ask that question. Even if I'm in the lighting department, what is my intention doing this? Because you could be lighting for something that you don't stand for. And I know it might be big or small, but it could be a jeans commercial. It could be anything. Ask what the intentions are from your supervisors. Because then that will give you kind of like you know what I mean? Like a little pep in your step. It makes you sit up straighter, knowing exactly what you're going in there doing and why you're doing it. I definitely want to push that forward.
They need to that's a good one. I hope somebody took some notes on that one. So now let's get into the soundbite round. This is 5 quick questions. It's like rapid fire, so you got to answer the questions with the first thing that comes to mind and keep it short. You know, soundbite size.
Girl.
Soundbite.
I got you.
All right. So, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or Real Housewives of New York City?
Beverly Hills.
Garcelle. Favorite thing you've watched on TV or streaming recently?
I'm going to go back to the J-Lo halftime because I watched that this morning and I did an ugly cry. Yeah. J-Lo deserves so much better. Like, I did not realize how bad, I don't care how bad we treat J-Lo. I didn't realize how bad we treated J-Lo. If that makes any sense, everybody.
We treated her bad. Like we treated her.
Like Selena still is owed an Oscar. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say.
Like no, you're right. You're right. Favorite activity outside of work?
I'm gonna say dancing at a nightclub.
That
is legit. It was that, or I'm holding somebody's dog. You know what I mean? I'm holding a dog, or I'm at a nightclub. I don't know why I saw those two things.
Either or. Okay, got it.
Either or.
Secret YouTube obsession.
Oh, I love vlogs, and I think that like how is that secret, right? But it's the type of vlogs that I like. So I have a genre. So. I love London girls from African girls from London. That's like my thing. It's for some reason when you guys meet up for brunch, I feel like I'm at the table. I never want to produce that content, but I just love being there at the table wearing my little pretty little things and just, I don't know how to explain it.
It's so rich.
It's so rich. And then the other one is honestly girls from Harlem. I'm all over y'all pages, please.
Oh, thank you.
Fashion. Okay. It's the fashion. It's something about the contrast of fashion for both of them that is just like, I love watching girls go get their vintage items in Harlem and wear their fur coats and talk about how their grandma got this for them. And then on the contrast, I love just watching girls buy little Pretty Little Things. It's just, that's my obsession. I don't know how to explain it.
I'm gonna have to check those out. And then the last.
And
go ahead.
Diamond, I just want to finally also say I'm very open to these girls, that I follow them and that I love them and I watch them on set. And that's the other thing. I'm like, I'm on set at Housewives, and I just want one girl, I just let her know straight up, like, I'm obsessed with you. And if you ever, and I was like, stop, Danehsia. She doesn't.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I mean, because it is what it is. But the last thing is a piece of advice, like one sentence for Black women in this industry. I mean, you said what you said about keeping the intention. Yeah. Is that, you want to roll with that?
I want to say that. And I also want to say, double down on what you want. Straight up, sis. If they don't give it to you, it's absolutely fine. Like, oh my God, they were going to tell you no from Jump Street. You didn't probably want to be there. I promise you. Just double down. I promise you. And it's honestly two things. One, I always say get a career buddy. And if it's not only been Diamond, I've had male friends as career buddies, older women as career buddies, but I always suggest get a career buddy. Somebody you can bounce your ideas off of, somebody you can vent, you can actually get to know this industry better. That's one. And then two, I would say double down, because sometimes they're not seeing what you see in yourself. And sometimes you have to produce yourself into getting what you want. Listen, produce yourself.
Produce yourself. Like, this is your show, your life.
This is your show.
Okay.
Diamond, that's been the biggest thing. Producing yourself. I've always watched you produce yourself. And that's not even like to be, but you know what I'm saying, girl. We've had legit, Diamond has had chapters of her life that if you have been a part of Diamond's story.
Season 2, season 3, season 4.
We've had volumes, if you know what I mean. Volume 25, if you've been a part of the journey.
Right. Oh my God. This is so, you got to come back. This is so good. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for our folks. Thank you, Danehsia. I'm gonna basically just claim this is part 1 of part many. But thank you, Danehsia. Y'all, I'm gonna drop Danehsia's information in the show notes for y'all so you can keep up with her and her amazing things that she's doing. And you're gonna get to see her journey as she is on her way to being Emmy Award winning. Okay, our girl is gonna come back here one day with an Emmy Award. So if y'all like this podcast, if you like this interview, please subscribe, leave me a rating, and let me know what you think. Tell the folks how you feeling about the show, and I will talk to y'all soon.